believe the main challenge when picking who to hire is finding what the best option is for you. There are two types of candidate usually on the market. The first being specialist physicians that have specific training in one specific therapeutic area, like it could be endocrinology or cardiology. And then on the other side, you have generalist physicians who come from either a general medicine, family medicine, internal medicine background that usually have a broader experience but less in depth. There are pros and cons to both. It's just a matter of finding which one is right for you. Hiring a specialist physician definitely will bring a lot of deep knowledge to your company. Specialist physicians are trained in one therapeutic area and they can go very much in depth into it. For example, hiring an endocrinologist if you're doing some endocrinology drug development. They are key, in my opinion, to late phases and very complex therapeutic areas, like they could be cell and gene therapy or oncology or like rare diseases. So there are three main risks, in my opinion, when hiring a specialist. The first one is being that they usually come with a much higher price tag, which cannot be feasible for every single company out there. The second one is that they're usually a bit less flexible. So, for example, if one specific project fails in their therapeutic area, they won't easily pivot to a different asset. And then the last one is because they usually come straight from academia into industry, they may not be used to working in the collaborative environment that industry is and collaborating with loads of different functions, loads of different individuals, because the work that they do in private practice or academia is much more centered around themselves. Generalists are definitely more flexible. They have a much broader therapeutic area expertise. So if your company is managing projects in different therapeutic areas, like let's say endocrinology, neurology, psychiatry, all at the same time, and you need a physician to overlook all of those functions, then a generalist might be the best option for you. They come at a cheaper price tag, which is important to mention, and usually the type of generalist candidates that are on the market at the moment have a lot more industry expertise. They've been in the industry for quite a longer time, so they're a little bit more agile in navigating the complexities of the clinical research industry. In the past, the industry used to be populated by mostly generalist physicians. The last 20 years or so, that demand has really switched, and nowadays companies are mostly looking at hiring specialist physicians, I believe because of the complexity of the clinical trials that they're running. For example, rare diseases, cell and gene therapy, oncology, very, very complex therapeutic areas to work on. I do believe that there is still a place for generalist physicians within the industry, maybe in earlier phases of clinical trials, companies that might not have as big of a budget, and also companies that need somebody to be very, very agile within the industry and be able to pivot from project to project all the time. I believe for every hiring team, the first thing to do is take a very hard look at the project that they're managing. What phase are they on? What therapeutic area? What are their main competitors doing within that space? And figure out what their budget is for that specific position. Once you got all the key elements of that broken down, there are three factors to keep in mind. The first one being cost. Generalists are usually cheaper, while specialists come at a much higher price tag, and not every company can afford to pay a cardiologist $350K a year for their first role in industry. The second thing that I would like for them to keep in mind is how varied their pipeline is. Generalists might be repurposed and might be a little bit more cost effective in the long run if the specific asset that they're working on fails and they need to pivot to a different clinical trial. And then the last thing, it's probably coachability and what budget and processes you have in place for training. hiring somebody straight from academia or private practice might require you a little bit more time to train them and get them up to speed to industry standards. And a specialist might not be the perfect option for you if you don't have that time or that resources put in place.